What is going on, guys? James, Urban Bass Layers out here at one of our pond spots. I wanted to talk to you guys about top watering grass like this, really crazy grass. And this grass in this pond is really, really thick, and the bass will get up underneath it, and it's almost impossible to punch this stuff. I mean, you can kind of punch this stuff, but it's really, really, really thick. But what I want to talk about with top watering this stuff is you get spots. It's kind of hard to explain. The end, if you can see the end of this little bunch of grass out there, and it's really thick, and then it gets sparse right there. You got spots like over here where you got the thick stuff, and then it gets kind of sparse. Some of my biggest fish out here that I've caught topwater, I made bad casts, and the bait went over the top of the big thick stuff because those fish are down underneath that. And when you're running that bait over the top through this thick stuff here, it gets the bass's attention, and they hear something going over the top of them, and they'll come out and they'll end up eating it at the end of the grass line. A lot of times they'll come out from underneath all that stuff, and they'll come up and they'll eat it. Pretty crazy how they do it out here. I mean, I fished a lot of topwater out here in the open water. Never had I don't think I've ever had a really good topwater bite out here in the open water. It's all lipless crankbaits, big swim baits and stuff like that. But yeah, topwater out here, man, you want to throw those grass. You see all this grass right here, and you see that tree sticking out of the water down there? The bass will be up underneath the grass, sitting right next to that tree. You can't get a bait in there, but if you run it over the top of that grass and get their attention, and they hear it going over the top, a lot of times they'll want to know what's going over, so they'll chase out just to see when it hits the water, because they're underneath there ready to ambush stuff. A lot of times you got to wake them up. They're down there just taking a nap. They don't really sleep, but they do go nocturnal, and they just sit there. So you run that bait over the top. The first time I ever caught a 7-pounder, I was running a bait topwater over and over again in this spot, and then I let it drop down and sink a little bit, and I bumped it 2 times, set the hook, caught a 7-pounder. My thinking on that was I kept running the bait over the same exact spot, and I woke that fish up, got its attention, and once I got that bait down its face, it ate it. So what we were doing out here last year is this stuff was all cheesed out, and it had all that like Captain Crunch looking stuff. So we were able to throw Senkos out here and topwater baits and just sit them in place with little rattles in them and shake them and catch the fish. But there's none of that stuff this year. The water was way up for way too long. The water was all the way up on this point during the spawn. The water was like this high out here. It gets way up. So all the beds out here, all the beds that were out here last year, they're here, but fish. The spawn was kind of funky this year. There's still spots where they're spawning, but these smaller ponds, a lot of the big ones are done, because the smaller ponds, they get warmer faster, so the fish, they go sooner. If you want to go hit some spawn fish, your best bet's like cold water lake where it's not as warm and they spawn a little bit later. Anyways, topwater in that grass, man, you get their attention, they come out and they eat it. You got to wake them up sometimes. Anyway, gonna go fish. There's a spider on my pole. I'm gonna have to get him off of there. Another crankbait. Got a little dink on the crankbait. Where's the fish? In the water. How do you catch them? Put your bait in the water. Alright, my camera is just about dead. This fish weighs 5'3", we just weighed her. Urban bass layers out here doing what we do. Same spot.
Ready? Here she goes.
Life is good. Life is good. Look at that. That's bass heaven right in there.
Let's go get some more.
When that water gets up in here, those bass, they get up in here.